Okay, let's get into this. We are doing a deep dive today into someone truly, well, explosive. Mansur Al-Hallaj, a Sufi mystic whose entire legacy really hinges on just 3 words.
3 words that were incredibly powerful.
No.
And dangerous.
Exactly. Ana al-Haqq, which translates to
I am the truth.
I am the truth. I mean, talk about a statement. It made him immortal in the mystical tradition, but it also, quite directly, got him killed.
Yeah, it absolutely sealed his fate, horribly executed in 10th century Baghdad.
So our mission today really is to try and understand what was behind that statement.
Right. We need to go beyond just the shock value or the basic history. We have to explore the spiritual and philosophical depth of what he was actually claiming when he talked about union with the divine. We'll be looking at the mystical context, the history, all based on the sources we have.
Let's start with his background. Where did he come from?
He was born back in 858 CE in Persia, what's now Iran. Not from the religious establishment, but clearly a seeker from very early on.
And the sources show him constantly moving, traveling all over the Islamic world.
Relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Not like tourism, as you said in the nose, more like a driven pilgrimage. He went from Basra to Mecca, out to Khorasan, eventually landing in Baghdad, which was a real intellectual hub then.
And the key distinction seems to be why he was traveling, what he was looking for.
Absolutely critical point. He wasn't just trying to learn about God, collecting facts or doctrines. He was after something much more radical.
Union, direct experience.
Yes, actual union with God. That's a whole different level of seeking.
So he gets initiated into Sufism, the mystical side of Islam. But he wasn't exactly a typical Sufi, was he?
No, not at all. Many Sufis had profound mystical experiences, these ecstatic states, sometimes called shadahat. But the general practice was, well, discretion. Keep it quiet.
Keep it within the initiated circle.
Exactly. Don't shout it from the rooftops because, the average person might misunderstand or the authorities might react badly, which they did.
But Al-Hallaj, he just couldn't do that.
He seemed constitutionally unable to stay silent. He felt this intense compulsion to share what he experienced, and his path to that experience was extreme.
So.
Years of really intense practices, deep solitude, rigorous fasting, constant repetition of God's names, all aimed at achieving this state, this dissolution of the personal self.
That false self needing to disappear.
Precisely. He was working towards that moment where the ego just vanishes.
And it's out of that intense lived experience, not just thinking about it, that the words finally come.
Ana al-Haqq.
I am the truth. Now, for the Orthodox scholars in Baghdad at the time, this sounds like, well, the worst kind of blasphemy.
Utterly. Because al-Haqq, the truth, the reality is one of the primary names of God. It signifies God's absolute uniqueness and transcendence.
So for a human, any human, to claim that title for themselves...
It sounded like shirk, associating partners with God, the one unforgivable sin in Islam. They saw it as pure arrogance, a human trying to be God.
But that's the literal external interpretation. The mystical view is completely different.
Completely. From Al-Hallaj's perspective and the perspective of later mystics analyzing him, he wasn't saying, I, Mansur, this guy standing here, am God. That wasn't it at all.
What was he saying then?
He was saying that his own ego, his sense of being a separate I, had been completely obliterated in that moment of divine encounter.
So the drop merged with the ocean kind of thing.
That's a classic metaphor, and it fits perfectly. The drop doesn't become the entire ocean, but it loses its boundary, its separateness. It realizes its essence is the ocean. There's no separation left.
So who is speaking when he says, I am the truth?
In that state, the only reality, the only voice, the only presence remaining within him was God's. It's God speaking through the empty vessel of Mansur. It's a statement about ontology, about reality, not about his personal status.
It's like ultimate emptiness, allowing the divine to fill the space.
Exactly. It's the peak of self-surrender, not self-aggrandizement. And his poetry, wow, it captures this so powerfully.
That one line.
I saw my Lord with the eye of my heart. I said, who are you? He answered, you.
Chilling. The seeker and the sought become one. There's no other left.
Right. But you can see how this would terrify the establishment.
How so? Beyond the obvious theological issue.
Well, think about the implications. If direct union with God is possible for anyone through inner experience,
then you don't necessarily need the official interpreters, the clergy, the caliph even, as mediators.
Precisely. It bypasses the entire structure. It makes spirituality something intensely personal and potentially accessible to everyone directly. That's a massive challenge to any religious or political hierarchy that controls access to the divine or claims sole authority to interpret scripture.
Ah, okay. So it wasn't just about theology, it was deeply political too. His popularity must have worried them.
Immensely. The sources suggest he had a significant following among ordinary people. The authorities likely saw him as a potential source of instability, a charismatic figure operating outside their control.
Which explains why they didn't just ignore him. The persecution was intense.
It really was. Years of controversy, accusations, periods of imprisonment, torture. They repeatedly tried to force him to take it back, to recant.
But he wouldn't.
He couldn't. It wasn't an opinion. It was his experienced reality. And so eventually, in 922 CE, in Baghdad, the end came.
Public execution. And it was brutal.
Extremely brutal. Flogged, parts of his body cut off, and then crucified. The message was clear. This is what happens when you cross the line between human and divine. Defy orthodoxy, and you will be utterly destroyed.
But then there's that incredible detail from the witnesses about his final moments. It completely changes the meaning, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. They weren't seeing a man defeated by pain and fear. Reports say he was smiling, even laughing, whispering prayers.
Prayers of love, even then?
Yes, total devotion.
Yeah.
And his final reported words as he was dying.
All that remains is the face of God.
Just think about that. Even in that agony, his focus wasn't on himself or his suffering, but solely on the divine presence.
So his death wasn't really a defeat in the end. It became the ultimate validation of his entire life and teaching.
For the mystical tradition, yes. It was seen as a spiritual victory, a martyrdom. His blood became symbolic not of the violence inflicted on him, but of this unshakable, fearless divine love that earthly power couldn't break.
It's a powerful legacy. Which is probably a good point to really break down the core teachings that came out of his life and death. These ideas really shaped Sufism afterward.
Definitely. We can maybe distill them into 5 key concepts that he championed. These are central to understanding his impact.
Okay, let's do it. Number 1 has to be divine unity, right? Tawhid.
Yes. Tawhid is the bedrock of Islam, the oneness of God. But Al-Hallaj pushed its mystical interpretation. For him, it wasn't just that God is one, but that everything is essentially one. Meaning all of creation, every single being, you, me, everything we perceive, it's not truly separate from God. It's all reflection and emanation of that single divine essence. The idea of distinct, separate selves is the fundamental illusion we need to overcome.
Which flows perfectly into the second concept, fana, or ego dissolution.
Exactly.
Right.
If tawhid is the goal, realizing that unity, then fana is the path. It's a process of annihilating that false sense of a separate self, the ego, the I, that feels distinct from everything else.
Annihilation sounds pretty intense.
It is intense, but think of it less like destruction and more like refinement, like burning away the impurities in gold ore. You remove the dross, the ego, fears, desires, until only the pure underlying divine essence remains.
And al-Haqq was his declaration of having reached that state.
That's how it was understood. The I was gone, only the truth remained.
Okay, so unity, then the path of dissolving the ego. What's third? This seems central to his story. Ishq, divine love.
Ishq. For Al-Hallaj, love wasn't just an emotion, not even the highest emotion. It was, well, the very fabric of existence, the driving force.
Oh, so.
He saw divine love as the reason God manifested creation in the first place, out of a desire to be known, to be loved. So the journey back to God, the path of fana, must be fueled by that same intense, passionate, self-consuming love. It's the energy that dissolves the illusion of separation.
Love as the solvent for the ego. Got it. Number 4.
This one was also quite radical. Truth beyond religion.
Meaning outside of established structures.
Kind of. He deeply valued Islamic practice, but he insisted that the ultimate truth, that direct taste of union, wasn't exclusively found in rituals or scriptures, though they are vital paths. The real locus of truth was the direct inner experience of God within the individual heart.
That definitely challenges religious authority.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It suggests that direct experience can potentially supersede dogma, or at least stand alongside it.
And finally, number 5, the one that cost him his life. The courage of expression.
Yes. It wasn't enough for him to experience these truths internally. He felt an absolute necessity to speak them out loud, to bear witness.
Even knowing the consequences.
Especially knowing the consequences, he saw facing suffering, even death, for the sake of truth, as part of the path itself. Perhaps the ultimate expression of that divine love, ishq. Fear should never silence the heart's truth. That was his stance.
It's just incredible. A man executed for heresy becomes a spiritual giant. Later figures like Rumi, Attar, They revered him.
They saw him as the ultimate martyr of love, the one who went all the way, who proved the power of inner realization over outer constraint. He became a symbol.
A symbol of what, fundamentally?
Of truth that refuses to be boxed in by dogma. Of a unity with the divine that conquers fear. He showed that dissolving the ego isn't weakness. It's the source of ultimate strength and courage.
And that brings us back to his own words, that distillation of his whole path. Between me and you, there is only me. Take away the me, so only you remain.
Such a perfect summary. He strips away everything until only the essential connection is left.
So in the end, Mansur Al-Hallaj wasn't trying to be God.
No. He was trying to show you, the listener, that the truth, that divine spark, is already inside you. And that profound, transformative love is what melts away the walls we build around ourselves.
Which leaves us with a question, really. A challenge from 1,000 years ago. What is the me in your life, the fear, the attachment, the illusion of separateness that needs to dissolve for you to find a deeper connection, a more unified awareness? That's the enduring echo of al-Haqq.